Hello, good afternoon, good morning. You are in Ines Pires Talks. Today I have a very special guest that will support our Growth for All talks. These talks are all about innovation in diplomacy, corporate diplomacy, and the future of humanity relationships. So today I have with me Mr. Thomas Sladko, that is the former Deputy Head of Protocol of Austrian Chancellery and as well Communications Officer from Lufthansa when he was placed in New York, Americas. So welcome Thomas to our show.
Thank you very much for inviting me and being a guest in Ines Pires Talks. For me it's quite a fascinating world of protocol and communications, and I think ISPD is doing a fantastic job during the last 10 years where the slogan of innovation in diplomacy was created. I think the world is needing innovation in diplomacy because we are seeing a lot of different fields where protocol and diplomacy should be applied. We saw that during the passage of the last years that protocol is not only a field for diplomats or high-level representatives, but it is as well a field which could be applied to many different industries and industrial sectors in the world.
Thomas, I have a doubt actually. You are the expertise specialist in the area of communication, strategic communication evolution. There's always a constant buzz around us that says that social skills are becoming more relaxed. How do you think that is applicable in the international protocol, that at the end of the day the people have the perception that protocol is something rigid, non-flexible, that is only for states, that is just a tool of communication? But how do you see that relaxation, we can say, about all those rules and procedures in the social field and as well the more professional field?
It is a very interesting questions that you are asking. We have to be on the first approach very careful in not confusing etiquette with protocol. Etiquette, everybody knows, everybody heard about what etiquette is, and we have a lot of people who are selling the so-called international etiquette to the world, which is actually not existing. We have to think on etiquette as a cultural specificities, and we have to see protocol as rules and procedures applied to different fields. When we are talking about etiquette, we must not forget that etiquette is mostly influenced by cultures. Every region, every municipality, every state, every culture, every nation has their own etiquette. And who are we in a professional approach to tell these people how they should set up a table, how they should communicate their cultural values? This is not an approach of ISPD, this is an approach of people who are seeing the world in a very imperialistic and in a very arrogant way, unfortunately, and this is actually the contrary of what we are trying to do in protocol. In protocol, main advantage is that protocol rules and procedure were actually elaborated through the centuries to facilitate intercultural encounters, and they were meant to facilitate cultural blunders not to happen. So that means that if we are simply reducing protocol to etiquette, which is not part of the protocol, we are missing one very important feature, that protocol is actually there to facilitate the encounter. When we are following rules and procedures, this could be in a state level, this could be in the corporate level, we have to see that when we are following these procedures, we would like to be, for example, very good hosts, we would like to be the best representatives of our company, of our nations and so on. We would like to think that following these kind of procedures is actually facilitating our representative role, and this is something which is or should be applied in many areas in the world. Not only for politicians who would like to be in the public spotlight, but of course as well for any company who would like to transmit the values, who would like to present themselves in the best possible way. And in the corporate diplomacy and in the corporate protocol, we are trying to do exactly this facilitation.
It's very interesting what you just said, because one of the main ideas behind the Innovation in Diplomacy Network, that is the global community that I am presiding, is a non-profit that I'm presiding. It's actually to create the added value. What is the added value from external affairs, corporate affairs, towards the public in general. So what you just said, I think, is really underlining that vision that international protocol, corporate diplomacy, business diplomacy, what is the innovation in diplomacy, is basically a new way, almost artificial intelligence way, to see the global reputation and the global relationships and the stakeholders management. So to finalize our interview and to finalize what I would like to ask you, what is your opinion in the future of growth? Ines Pires talks is all about the future of growth for all humans, all professional, all protocol, all stakeholders management, business development. What for you is the future of growth for all in the field of the interactions, of the human relations interactions, knowing that it's going to be less and less face-to-face? Because if you think, well, we are now encountering innovation in diplomacy, a head of state, through a platform that they don't find themselves anymore face-to-face. So what is for you the growth in that aspect, the face-to-face encounters? How is the future of protocol for you?
It is a very interesting question indeed. The fact is that, of course, we cannot predict and look into the future. We can only think from our experience what we could see in the future. Maybe I start to responding these questions what we saw in the last 10 years. And in the last 10 years we saw that indeed the technology of real-time communication was having an immense impact on every working field and on an immense impact, especially in the field of relationship management. This had effects then, of course, as well to the world of event organization, everything related to the field of protocol as well. And I think protocol has to be in a certain way innovative in the future to stay on the pulse of time, to facilitate in future even more the interaction, which is going to be more human interaction again. What we are seeing for sure is that probably the whole scenario of the so-called social media is going to have a declination in terms of importance in spreading certain messages. What we are observing is that the interaction between human beings, what was in the beginning the social media, is getting more into fields where the communication is more group-based and not so much spread to everyone anymore. So that means people are following only the content and the group discussions and the forums which are supporting their opinion, and not so much anymore the influence of a kind of democratic approach of information. We are facing big challenges in the future of how we are dealing with fake news, how we are dealing with information, what is actually relevant information for us. So these are all the points and questions that are going to have immense impact on the political life, on the social life, on the cultural life, on the protocol side as well. I think one perspective of all of this bringing together should be, and this is probably one of the approaches that we should have for the future of bringing down borders and bringing people more together, is that we will think on how we can facilitate the interaction between human beings on one hand, using all technologies possible, on the other hand not creating again clusters, not creating again groups where only the people who would like to hear their own opinion are going to share their opinion. The future of protocol is going to be for sure very related to real life information. Technology is going to play much more roles in everything which is related to the field of organizing any type of event. I am actually not so much thinking that we are having only virtual meetings. I don't see so much trend actually already in these protocol encounters of video conferencing or virtual rooms and so on. I think the directly encounter of human being is still going to be very important. Think about what, if you really want to understand someone, you will have to meet him, you will have to have at least a couple of minutes to speak with your counterpart. So I think this is going to play for sure a very important role in the future. Protocol will play a major role for the future as well in raising the standards, raising the facilitation of international encounters for companies, for states and so on. So their protocol will play a major role for the future as well. And what I think that in specifically that cases for the corporate diplomacy and for corporate protocol, I think ISPD is doing an amazing path for facilitating actually these encounters and offering these kind of networking and matchmaking what ISPD is doing since the last 10 years.
Thank you so much, Thomas Sladko, to be here present with myself in this show. Actually, human relations are going to be a luxury that we have to afford. So welcome soon again to another topic at Ines Pires Talks. Have a great week.